Welcome to the Chronically Healthy Life Show. When you hear the word chronically, do you automatically associate it with chronic disease? We all do. It's programmed right into us. But what if we flip that whole idea on its head? Let's discover how we can create chronic health in our bodies, our minds, our finances, our relationships, and of course, in our lives. Let's jump right on in. I'm Annie, and joining me is my life partner in everything, Minna.
So the hard part with joining you as a life partner is that you stopped eating this week.
Yes, this week we had a 5-day water fast, and technically we're off, but we haven't got a chance to eat yet. So we're going to celebrate to eat after the show.
For sure. Well, we stopped eating, so we don't have to worry about whether you're eating good or not. But
Yes.
normally, people talk of eating healthy all the time, but they don't really know what they mean, do you?
Yeah, I think it's really tough because, part of what I do, I am, functional nutrition longevity coach. So part of what I do is I help people figure out what is considered healthy eating, right? Like what's healthy eating mean to you? And, what are the main words people hear when you hear about healthy eating?
It depends. I mean, if you're in the office setting, they would tell you they're eating bagels, which is apparently healthy. I can't see that. Bagel with cream cheese, and they telling you that drinking coffee. They eat 3 meals a day, and they think they're doing pretty good.
Exactly. And, there's these magic words now that you always hear, oh, eat fresh, eat whole, right? Eat meat free, and, and all these things. Go vegan, go vegetarian, right? And what does that all mean? And does that actually make sense? Is that actually healthy? I think it's getting harder and harder nowadays to determine what's healthy and what isn't, and what's real food and fake food, compared to like our parents or grandparents 20, 30, 40 years ago. Even like for us, even 40 years ago, food is very different than the way it was growing up.
It used to be an apple a day keeps the doctor away. Now it's more like 5 apples.
Assuming that the apple's not killing you, right? You're assuming that the apple is actually going to be good for you. And, I think that's what I really wanted to talk about a little bit, just to give people a little bit more education, a little bit more informed decisions, per se, to look into it when you're eating, fruits and vegetables. Like, for instance, if you're eating fruits and vegetables now, what's the first thing we tell people to do?
Well, that it should be fresh, which is like an apple, right? But if you look at an apple, it's so glossy, so shiny. When you buy it at the store, it doesn't even look real.
Exactly. And, we usually tell people to eat organic, right?
Mm-hmm.
Mainly, we talk about the Dirty Dozen, Clean 15. And, if you don't know about that, watch some of our past shows or reach out to us, and we'll talk a little bit more about that. But like you said, does fresh mean that it is shiny? All right. And what a lot of people don't realize now is there's this new coating that they're putting on fruits and vegetables. It's called a peel, and there's not a lot of press about it. And it's interesting because they're claiming, well, it's all made from vegetarian products, like from vegetables or plant products. But if you look at their their ingredients, I think it was like 0.3% or 3%. And then 97% is other. They don't tell you what the other is, right? So, it's their marketing is this extends shelf life on the product, right?
Mm-hmm.
And this is sprayed on all not organic product, but now they even are spraying it on organic product. Do you remember those lemons that we got recently?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we bought it in two different times, two different stores, and they actually were different when you cut it open.
Exactly. We're not going to say which stores we bought from.
They're both organic.
But they were both organic. Both of them look amazing on the outside. So, like usually if you buy fruits, after a while, they'll start rotting, right? They'll start molding, right? Or they'll have the little black spot, the little soft spots, and that it's gone bad. Both of them look perfect, right? One of them I cut open, and, I shared a picture of this on Facebook, and of course, no one doesn't know what I'm sharing, but, the whole thing was completely dried up inside,
Mm-hmm.
perfectly on the outside. While the other one that we cut open, like the meat was all the way to the outside of the skin, right? The skin was super thin, right? And you can see the meat, it was nice and juicy. We juiced that sucker,
Mhm.
right? But the other one that was dried up, it's like we tried juicing it. Literally, it was like an old man inside a lemon. There was nothing to juice. And it's sort of scary. Like these chemical that is preserving it, it's keeping the outside looking fresh, but a lot of these things are literally rotting on the inside. And this is organic fruits and vegetables, so it's getting really hard to figure out what is good enough to be fresh, right?
I mean, I can see why stores do it. Just
Yeah.
they wanted to sell it, and that the longer they can preserve it, the better. But for health purposes, it's probably not the best thing.
Exactly, because it's like things have a shelf life. When they go bad, you throw it, you compost it, whatever. So what do you think are good things for people to do if they are trying to eat fresh organic fruits and vegetables? What will your choices be?
Well, you can grow your own.
Mm-hmm,
And then go to your neighbor's house and grab whatever they have.
mm-hmm.
That's what we do.
Exactly. We're working with our neighbors. We're growing this. They're growing that. We're just swapping fruits and vegetables around. If you live in a more better climate that can grow things like California, there's a lot of farmers markets. You can go out there and get a lot of make sure you get to know the farmers, because just because they're a farm doesn't necessarily mean that stuff's being grown in the farm. A lot of the farmers market, they actually buy it from the supermarket and resell it too.
Oh. Yeah, that sucks.
Yeah, right. So always get to know the farmers to make sure that you are buying literally from the farm.
What about dairies?
Yeah, the funny thing is there was this big push nowadays to go for these dairy free. They're people are saying that dairy's bad for you, and now they're saying it's lactose intolerance and all these things. But the funny thing is there are so many benefits with eating organic dairy, butter, and cheese, right? Because you got good probiotics in there, natural vitamins, natural minerals. Right. And they're healthy fats with complete protein, right? While these dairy-free alternatives, the oat milk and the soy milk and coconut milk or whatever other milk is out there, none of them are milk, right? And unless you're making it yourself, these things are full of chemicals, they're full of gums, they're full of preservatives, and they're fortified with vitamins and minerals. That the product itself has no vitamins and minerals. Right. And they're not complete protein sources, unlike milk. Milk makes there's a new product called fake cheese. Right. So it's pretty crazy. Cheese is being made out of CO2, but there's no health
CO2.
benefits. Yeah, CO2, because they said it's healthier for the planet.
But CO2 is not healthy for a person.
Yeah.
Yeah, and oxygen, not CO2.
Exactly.
That's a breathe out, not breathe in.
Exactly. Right. And then we get into the meats, right? I think meats are great because meats are complete protein. But they all say meats are bad, but it depends on the source of meat, right?
We have good cow right there.
Yeah, we got great cows here in
the
Texas.
Good cows.
Right. But because everything is grass finished here in Texas, we got so much land. Cows are just grazing on the grass. But in general, you got a lot of the factory farmed, animals, and that's where the problems come in. So it is true. The meat that these farms come out with just aren't as good because they're getting sick all the time because they're confined in small places. They're getting growth hormones, and then they're getting, what they're feeding. They're not eating grass, right? They're eating corn. They're eating oats. But the biggest problem is these things that they're eating is filled with glyphosate.
And what that is?
Glyphosate is the active ingredient for Roundup, which is like literally poisonous and is shown to cause, lymphoma cancer, right? And that's where, it gets really hard sometimes if you're just not if you're going to cut meat out and you're just trying to eat all, fruits and vegetables. Well, guess what? Fruits and vegetables, a lot of it are laced with glyphosate too.
And I know that they've been taking one step further and actually putting vaccines into our plants.
Yeah, this is crazy. I just thought I end with this with the people out there, and like I said, we're not going to have a stance on vaccines one way or another. There's benefits, there's risks, but lately now a lot of people are hesitant because there's been side effects. So two universities, and I'm going to name them. University of California, Riverside has perfected mRNA vaccines to be injected in lettuce.
Are lettuces getting COVID?
Yes. I don't know. And University of Berkeley, literally in our hometown before, are perfecting that technology to be put into tomatoes. So you don't need to inject your arms. You just need to eat a tomato or lettuce and you're vaccinated. That's the next thing. I don't know. Let's not get into it. We'll let people decide and figure out what they want to choose. But, our whole topic tonight was just talking about it's just really hard to know what you're putting in your mouth, if it's healthy or not anymore, right?
Okay. So
moving on. We're going to have a great guest tonight. We have Jackie Mott. She's going to blow our minds tonight, as she promised to me literally 5 minutes ago. So I'm looking forward to her interview. But before we get into that, just a few commercials, and we'll have Jackie right now.
And the biohack.
And of course, my biohack.
Okay, we'll be right back.
We'll be right back. All right, strap in, folks. We're about to take a joyride through the fountain of youth. It's Andy Nam from Chronically Healthy Life. Ever wonder why some folks seem to age like fine wine, while others are more like a molded cheese that's been forgotten in the back of the fridge? It's like they got the energy of a Duracell bunny on Red Bull, while the rest of us are running on fumes. Now, you might think hitting the gym and munching on kale is the ticket to eternal youth, but sometimes it feels more like we're just speeding up the aging process. Picture this. You're on the treadmill, feeling like $1,000,000, and suddenly you look down and realize your knees sound like a bag of popcorn in the microwave. Not exactly the sound of youth, am I right? But fear not, my friends, because here's the kicker. It's not just about the number of candles on your birthday cake. It's all about those sneaky little stem cells playing hide and seek inside your body. At the age of 20, you got more of these bad boys than you can shake a stick at. But fast forward a few decades, and they're scarce as a parking spot in downtown Manhattan. But guess what? We got a secret weapon up our sleeves. Phototherapy patch technology without drugs. That's right, folks. With our stem cell activation patches, you can hit the rewind button on aging faster than you can say reverse aging. So if you're ready to reclaim your youth, look younger, feel stronger, and heal faster than a superhero with a side of espresso, then it's time to hop on board the rejuvenation train. Get your stem cell activation patches now at lifewave.com/chronically healthy life. And let's make aging look like yesterday's news. It's not anti-aging, it's reverse aging, baby. Hi, it's Andy, and on this week's biohacking episode, I want to continue on how to lower inflammation now that we know we have inflammation in our bodies. And this is a common way that a lot of elite athletes use to lower inflammation after their exercises for recovery and stuff like that. And you can find these in wellness centers and stuff like that. And if you haven't noticed already, it is a cold plunge. And we used to do cold plunges at a wellness facility. But, like I said, sometimes all these hacks take so much time. So we decided we're just going to buy one and have one at home. So as we can see, our unit goes all the way down to 36 degrees. We only have it at 59. Finding that, you want to start a little slower. You don't want to just jump right on in. 59 is pretty cold, actually. So I got water here. It's cooled down to 59 degrees. So what does cold plunging have benefits for? Cold plunges has great benefits to increase your energy. So if you want more energy throughout the day, cold plunges is great. Cold plunges increase resilience. Cold plunges speed up physical recovery. Like I said, a lot of athletes are doing that, right? And one of the things that cold plunges do is, it boosts mood. And, I can't talk about it. I'm not going to be actually cold plunging, right? So the secret is jumping in and going all the way in right away. Woo! Cold plunges is supposed to lower stress. Right now, it's pretty cold. And you want to just sort of relax into it. And the great thing with cold plunges is it speeds up your metabolism, it burns brown fat, which is down in the shoulders, so when I think back, woo! And relax into it, it improves insulin sensitivity for those that have high blood sugar. And of course, one of the beauty of cold plunges is it boosts your immune system, right? And for those that are worried about Alzheimer's, dementia, Parkinson's, there's a lot of studies showing cold shocking your body actually resets your brain and improves neural health, right? And the best thing of it, like I said, is it lowers inflammation and it improves heart health. But the secret is don't stay in here too long, because too long you lose the benefits. You want to stay in here maybe about 2 minutes to 5 minutes. There's really no more benefits after 5 minutes. And once again, if the water's too cold, maybe it's only for 30 seconds. I have it set at 58, 59 degrees. I can tell you, it's pretty freaking cold. But these are the best benefits you can use for cold plunges, and look for one at your closest wellness center, or like us, buy one and chillax for 5 minutes. And we'll see you at the next biohacking episode.
Hello, and welcome back to the Chronically Healthy Life Show. This week, I am so excited to introduce you to our new friend, Jackie Mott. She is a #1 international best-selling author, powerhouse speaker, and master life coach, whose true brilliance lies in her ability to talk about difficult subjects using her own unique brand of wisdom, vulnerability, and humor. She lives from her belief that life doesn't have to be so damn serious. I really like that. When Jackie's husband ended their 27-year relationship without warning, Jackie had to challenge a lifetime's worth of conditioning and limiting beliefs and recreate herself from the ground up. The life she's now created is more than she'd ever allowed herself to believe was possible, and it's become her mission to support others in doing the same. Welcome, Jackie.
Thank you, Christy. I'm so excited to be with you tonight. This is awesome.
Yeah, we're going to have a lot of fun today.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think a lot of people have gone through recreating their life in the past few years. Not necessarily due to anything they had any control over, but it kind of just, happens.
Sure. And even, I was actually speaking with my son just today about this, the results of the pandemic. I don't know about everywhere, but we've been noticing that people just are still, I don't know, it's a little bit weird. We haven't gotten back to the way that things were before. And I'm curious what's going to happen that's going to get us back to really living again.
Well, that's an interesting question.
Yeah.
I think some people actually feel like they're living more now because they freed themselves from a lot of things they thought they had to do. And now they're kind of like, I don't have to do things so that way anymore.
Right. It's an interesting thing.
It is. And I think it's a good thing. I've always been not a think outside the box person, more like a jump out of the box and run away person.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So I like seeing people getting into that mode of like, wait a minute. And I love that you were forced into a situation where you had to recreate.
Yeah.
What did you tell me about 6 years ago?
It was about 6.5 years ago when I became single again. Mm-hmm. And it was a real shock to my system. I wasn't expecting it at all. It was 9 days before my tax deadline. And there was really no warning. So it threw me for quite a loop. But, in hindsight, as I think any other situation like this that you find yourself in, as you move through and recreate your life and all of that kind of stuff that you're working on, as you go, you maybe start to understand things in a different way, you know,
Mhm.
or see things that you hadn't seen before. It was absolutely the right decision that he made the right decision. I give him full credit. I would not have walked away. He made the right decision. Wasn't easy, but you know, it's better now.
Good. That's
Yeah.
a really positive way to healthy, I think. Even
Mhm.
yeah, it's just better. It's why would anyone stay in an unhappy relationship? That's
Right?
so many people convince themselves that they're
Yeah.
happy when they're not.
Yeah.
And
And that was me. You know, that
yeah.
was me. I was there we were 27 years we were together, and um you know, I was really hung up on those vows, right? Those promises, those commitments, those, like, all of that stuff. That was the stuff that was really that was tough.
Those preconceived ideas of what
Yeah.
it should be
Yes.
really mess up people's lives.
They do.
All sorts of categories, not just relationships, but
It's so true. It's so true. And when you can start to, I actually had a show that I was running for a few years, and it was on the show. It was so therapeutic for me. On one of the shows, I don't even know how it came up in what I was talking about, but I remember saying, you know, we measure the success of a relationship by the duration. But how many people do you know? And, you know, all of us know that have been together 25, 30, 50 years that really can't even stand the sight of each other anymore. And,
Mhm.
you know, so what if we could shift it to measuring the success based on the satisfaction of the people involved in the relationship and their happiness,
Mhm.
opposed to, oh yeah, you've been together 50 years, yay. Well, okay, you've been together 5 years and you're stinking happy, and yay, right? Like,
Yeah.
that is
Exactly.
right.
Exactly. That would have been a great that would be a great message to teach young people.
Yeah,
Like, yeah, because oh, so many relationships are one's a narcissist and the other one becomes codependent and they
right,
it's sick and twisted and the codependent one needs to think in terms of that. Like, wait a minute, I
right.
get to be happy too.
Yeah,
And yeah,
yeah,
that's a big deal.
it is.
And that's like, you know, like what we believe about ourselves to be true, it it can be based on completely false information.
Yes.
That's yeah. So let's
That's what
talk.
I taught. That's what I talk
Yeah.
about. So there's a thing that I learned. I don't even know exactly how or when or why, but I call this thing the subliminal soundtrack. So we all know that we have these things going through the back of our mind, and subliminal because we don't know they're there,
Hmm.
right? So I started calling this thing subliminal soundtrack, working with clients and in some of the teachings that I've done, and you know, it just started to make sense. It was like, oh, it's all this programming that we've picked up, right? We picked up all of these messages. I think Andy was talking about that at the beginning of the show. These things are programmed into us, right? They're programmed into us to believe that an apple is healthy, or
Hmm.
that kale is healthy, or whatever. It's programmed into us to believe that to be true. So we believe it, right?
Right.
It may be completely incorrect, but we believe it because that's what we are programmed to believe. So also, we start to create our circumstances based on the belief systems that we carry, which means that if I believe that marriage must be forever, right? The
Hmm.
fact that my husband decided to move on to a different life, and okay, I'm just gonna say that I don't believe this to be true. Okay, I want to be really clear, but leave me in the dust, right? Just because he decided that, that's one way to perceive what happened, right? I could perceive it from that position of, this is so wrong, he's so wrong, everybody's so wrong, I'm so victimized, I'm so damaged, or there's something wrong with me, or like there's so many different ways to go with that, right?
Hmm.
So if I buy into that belief that marriage must be forever, then I will make myself wrong because my marriage is now over, right?
Mm.
So I
Yeah.
can choose to change that. I can choose to change that and see it, as I said, from that different perspective. Okay, people aren't satisfied. Good, go be happy, right? I wish you love. I wish you happiness. I wish you whatever you want.
Yes.
And I wish those same things for me. So now I'm going to move on and create those things for myself.
Yes. And the flip is true too. Like for me, I was completely miserable when I was married.
Mm-hmm.
And when I finally got to the point of like, why am I doing this to myself? But I had that same idea, like I made vows, I made promises. And I kept thinking, well, when does that magical imaginary life start happening? And I finally realized it's not gonna.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I've been happy ever since I left that marriage.
See, and this is the thing, right? This is the thing. But we don't, I think when we're stuck in those belief systems, right? We don't see it that way because again, like, man, I made vows and that was the thing. Like for, I don't even know how long, maybe 6 months after he moved out, I was just like, but what about the vows? What about the promises?
Yeah.
What about, right?
Yeah.
And it twisted me up, right? It twisted me up because I was living into that. I was creating the wrongness of that until I got to a place where I could sort of go, okay, maybe I just need to let that go and figure things out here, right? And oh, by the way, what would make me happy? Oh my God. Oh, I get to be happy? Oh my God. I get to do work that I want to do. Oh my God. I get to hang out with people that I want to hang. Right?
Yes.
So you get to choose. And that's the thing. That's the most important thing is you get to choose what you're going to tell yourself, what stories you're going to tell yourself, what meaning you're going to attach to things. You get to choose. And when you start to do that, then you can believe all things are possible. That's my book, Believe All Things Are Possible. And I'm talking about in the book, I'm talking about these things that we get stuck in, these belief systems that actually cause us to stop ourselves or sabotage ourselves or whatever, and how to actually break free from them. So I am so passionate about this stuff.
Oh my gosh, yes. I mean, that's something I hear people say that a lot. Well, this is what I was taught to believe. And I think to myself, so what?
Right.
If it's not working for you, then change it.
Right.
Why would you believe something that is causing pain or causing harm why?
Right.
That's silly.
Yeah, I think one of the things that I didn't realize until like much later in life than I wish it was true, but we have a choice. We always have a choice. We always have a choice.
Change your mind.
Yes. Yes. It's an awesome thing that like we can give ourselves power, but we have to choose. Again, like it's all about the choices that you make. You choose the stories you tell yourself. You choose what you believe. You choose the circumstances you create. You choose all of that. And, we attract the people into our lives that we are aligned with energetically or, emotionally or however that works, right? We attract them. So if I keep attracting unhealthy people into my life, then I need to look at what I'm doing because I'm attracting them.
Right.
Right. Also a power position. All this is power positions.
Yes. You're in a power position instead of in a victim position.
Right.
Yes, I know. I was a narcissist magnet. And I decided one day, okay, great, wonderful. So what? I don't want that around me anymore. And it's what a shift. What a shift. I can recognize a narc from 1,000 miles away, just like that. But I don't need to I don't need to have them in my orbit in order to, I don't have to all that trauma. I don't need that trauma.
No. No. And I mean, you bring up trauma. That's a really great thing to bring up too, because a lot of this stuff is trauma responses.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Like a lot of these beliefs that we've picked up are the result of a traumatic event that happened, particularly in childhood. Yes. Right. Because children just don't have the ability to process things. And unless they have really good people in their lives who can step in and help them process a trauma and get past it, you carry that stuff. And I know a lot, I think, of my generation is in that position, right? So trauma responses are also a big part of this.
Big deal. I was reading about things that we do out of trauma response that we don't even realize we're doing. And procrastination is one of them. And like untidy home is one of them. And I admit my home is very untidy right now, but I'm giving myself off the
You're
hook.
moving.
I just moved and I'm still organizing. So
it's all good.
Yeah. So I don't count that. That doesn't, to me, count as untidy. That counts as in process. But but things like that, or chewing on your nails or your cuticles, or picking at them, little things like that are from the anxiety of walking on eggshells around someone who was abusive when you were a child.
Right.
And that kind of anxiety.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff. And I mean, it can affect so many different parts of us, right? People think about the pandemic. We were just talking about that. How many people went on Amazon and spent a fortune just so that, I've got a box coming to my house today, right? And people bought stuff they didn't need, right. And I'm not here to judge anybody. I did the same thing sometimes. I'm not judging anything, but that's one of those things. Like, we can spend from an emotionally traumatized place. There's so many different ways that this can impact our lives. We choose partners, right? We choose our friends. We choose our activities. We choose everything. So when things aren't working, right, or you're not happy, it is so very important for us to get really quiet and clear on that stuff. That subliminal soundtrack, I'm telling you, it changes lives. When you start to shift those messages and actually create the ones that will support you in having the things that you desire. Well,
let's use you as an example.
Yeah.
So what was one thing that you realized through that transition you made that you realized you were doing, and then shifted your idea about it and then manifested a different way, that just kind of maybe was kind of amazing to you? Like, I didn't even know I could do that. Like maybe writing your book.
Yeah, sure. Like all of that. So the show that I used to have, it came up right at the beginning of the pandemic, which would have been about 2 years into the separation. I think. Anyway, so it started right then. And that show, oh my Lord. I never expected to have a show of any kind. It just kind of fell in my lap. And of course, I was like, well, yeah, sure, I'll do that. And it ran for almost 3 years. So, and it was a tremendous, the people that I met, the people that I got to interact with, the healing that it did, because I'm talking about this stuff. And as I'm talking about, all kinds of different things, but as I'm talking about these things, I'm actually processing in a different way, right? Because I'm teaching it. So when you're teaching it, you think about it from a different perspective, because the goal is to offer new insight or something fresh or whatever that is, right? So I think the show is probably the number one. And then the book, absolutely. The book is secondary to that, very close runner-up, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a big deal.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. So what do you think is the most vital thing we have to kind of address when we're seeking to change? Because circumstances aren't the thing. Circumstances are what make us think we have to have a change, but they're not the thing that needs to change. What do you think is more important?
I think that probably the most important question that I asked myself, and I think I may have already said this, but there was a day when I was with a friend, and something happened in that day that made me go, wait, I'm still living. I'm not going to say his name, but I'm still living like I'm his wife. and that life is no longer here. So what am I going to do? What do I want? What would make me happy? What would bring me joy? What would, make me feel fulfilled? And just getting curious and starting to ask those questions, and what would that look like? And what do I want?
Mm-hmm.
What do I want my life to look like? I want to travel. Well, in the last year and a half, I've taken four trips that involve flights. So I want to travel has become a thing, right? I want financial security. I'm creating my own financial security.
Mm-hmm.
I want joy and laughter. And let me tell you, when my friends come over, this house is filled with laughter. So it's that, like, what would be that for me now? Right?
Yes.
Because I had to shift out of being that person's wife.
Do you think there was something underneath the surface? Like, a lot of times we think about, well, something subconscious or unconscious is driving me. But a lot of people go, well, how am I supposed to know what that is? And how can we start to look at that and start to kind of dig out what those things are so we can make the shift?
The things that will make us happy?
No, like people, I've had people ask me, well, okay, so we talk about subconscious or unconscious is probably an accurate way, that are under the surface that we're not consciously aware of, that drive us. Like, for example, like the shopping thing.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people that shop uncontrollably.
Oh, yes.
It's like a painkiller.
Yeah.
And
retail
then
therapy.
Yes. And they've got closets full of crap that they
Right.
never look at again. And they've spent all this money and it's not serving them.
Right.
But it's coming from deep in the unconscious. So how can someone, like, if they're like, say they just start to realize, maybe I shouldn't be doing this all the time.
Right.
How can they make that shift to, because most people can't just go, I'm not going to do this anymore. And bang,
Right.
they have to kind of dig out whatever it is that's causing that unconscious belief to come up in this pattern. So, like subconscious ideas, like how do we shift those subconscious ideas?
So I have a system that I use with my clients. So I mean, like, contact me. I'm happy to help people with this. I love helping people with this. But basically what we do is we have to identify it first, right? So we don't have to necessarily dig into, sometimes we need to dig in, right? Sometimes there's a thing in there that needs to be healed, but that's not for this. That's not really the most important piece. The most important piece is just identifying it. So, for example, just because I'm, really an honest person, I didn't realize that there was something inside me that caused me to need to identify myself as that person's wife. I didn't understand that I had created this value of myself attached to being that person's wife. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. So there are reasons for that. Those reasons go back to childhood. Those really aren't important right now. What's important is, I didn't realize that I was doing that. I didn't realize that I was attaching my value to his pleasure, to his happiness, to his comfort, I didn't realize that I had made that so important to, and so central to who I thought myself to be. Right? I was his wife. I wasn't Jackie. I was his wife.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So there was a process where, and I mean, a lot of this stuff, I mean, I've taken classes, I've got all kinds of certifications, but a lot of this stuff is also what I learned from my own process. Right? So identifying that thing, and then we have to challenge it. Right? Because whatever is going on back there's something that's not true that's causing us to have that belief. So we have to challenge it with something that we know with 100% certainty to be true. So put a new message in there. So mine might be, mine might be that I'm an amazing person all on my own. Mine might be that I'm intelligent and cute and funny and whatever. Like, I could make you a list, and this is one thing I highly recommend to everybody that I work with. Make yourself a list, at least 100 things that you love about yourself.
Oh,
At least
all-
100 things.
everybody pinky swear with me. Let's all do that.
Please. It's not easy. It's not, you know what? Maybe we should do a challenge. Maybe we should do a challenge. Oh,
Let's.
I like this. Okay. Let's play it. We'll figure something out and then we'll put it up on Facebook or something. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I think we should. I think
Yeah.
that sounds fun. I think let's do it.
Yeah. So this is the second phase is, again, we have to identify it and then we have to challenge that belief system with something we know 100% certainty to be true. And then we just keep practicing. Practice makes perfect.
Mhm.
Practice makes perfect, right? Every time you catch yourself having that old belief pop up, then you stop and remind yourself, no. This is the new belief. This is what we're doing now.
Yes.
This is what we're doing. Okay, that was what we did before. We're not doing that anymore. And there's a lot more to it, but that's in a nutshell.
Yes, and that makes sense. I mean, take something as simple as the shopping example,
Mm-hmm.
which is not my personal, but I do know people who have
Sure.
that issue, and it's like pause and say, we've done things like, do I really need this, or am I trying to fill something? And if I'm trying to fill something, what could I do that would actually help me fill that? Like, could I call a friend? Maybe not go get a drink or eat an ice cream cone or substitute another.
Right.
But
maybe you can have some fun.
Yeah, go have some, or unless the friends all come out and you go dancing or something. And
love it.
I did dance therapy when I was getting divorced. I went out with my friends every Saturday for a while, and all we did was go dancing.
I love it.
I'm not a drinker, so I had a lot of fun entertaining myself watching people get drunk, and
that can be fun to watch.
Sometimes, yeah. So anyway, the point is, like, there are ways. I mean, you can get in a cold plunge bath, or
sure.
a jacuzzi, or go for a walk out in breathe the air, or or there's so many
books, journal, like so many different things. I mean, journals are actually really great in my humble opinion, because when I start journaling, sometimes I don't know what the problem is. It's the same thing for me when I'm talking with a friend. Like if something's really bothering me and I can't quite figure it out, talking with a friend or journaling, for some reason, I don't know why, but it just comes out. But you have to keep writing until you get there.
Yes. And it's okay to walk away and come back.
Yeah.
Because sometimes you just stop, and then it starts to flow later again. And that's okay too. Yes, journaling is wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
It's always surprisingly like dream journals. Like,
ooh,
dreams will, if you start really digging, your dreams will start to communicate with you.
Interesting.
And kind of, especially if it's one that really, like, you wake up and you just go, whoa. A lot of times that if you dig into the dream, you realize it's a message coming up.
Wow.
Yeah. So that journaling sometimes is,
it's very cool.
Yeah. All that's really pen in hand. Don't journal on the computer. You guys.
No, there's something about the paper. Yeah. Also, really great practice, I find, when I find myself going into a spin, because I do everybody does, right? Everybody does. Doesn't matter. We're going to stand up here and say we know what we're talking about. We do. And we're human beings, and we still have moments, right?
And we've been there.
Right. So one of the things that I like to teach is to practice gratitude.
Oh, yes.
Like when you get into that moment where you've got to catch yourself, right? So that's the real trick, is catching yourself before you've hit the send me that thing on Amazon button.
Yeah.
That's the trick, is catching yourself. But when you start to see yourself, and when you start to actually look, you will start to catch yourself more quickly. And then just 3 things that it doesn't have to take a long time. You can journal about this, and that's an excellent practice too. But you can just think about 3 people, 3 things, 3 whatever that you have in your life that you have to be grateful for. That will shift you like on a dime.
Yes. Yes. That will, especially, yeah, even if you're feeling down, just a little down, and I do that when I'm tired or I'm really and the moving was very stressful for me because I
Right.
take care of my mom also. So
Mm-hmm.
that's on top of everything else. And I would just be like, meh, 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 meh. And then I and a lot of times you need rest.
Yes.
You're overworking and you need to
Yes.
rest. You're just getting grumpy because you're tired, and just
Yes.
let yourself rest. Yes.
Yeah. Sometimes that's the ticket too. You got to learn to learn your cues and know what to do when they come up, really.
Absolutely. Jackie, this is an amazing discussion, very uplifting. How can our audience reach out to you?
They can find me. So my website is jackiemott.com and my email is jackie@jackiemott.com. I know that's shocking. We are going through this whole process right now where we are rebranding, and there's going to be a new presence on Facebook. Right now it's Jackie Mott, Mindset and Empowerment Expert. And if they go on my website on jackiemott.com, they can download what is the article? Five steps to create a mindset wired for success. And I believe that process that we were talking about is actually written into that article. So go there, download that, and there you go.
Yes. And the QR code, everybody, the QR code goes right to her website. So, well, thank you so much for joining us today.
Oh,
it was
thank you, Christy.
Absolute pleasure.
And the same here. Same here. Very enjoyable. Thank you so much for your time. And thank you to everybody who came out to watch us.
Yes. All right, everybody stay tuned for Kids Corner.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to Kids Corner. So I guess we're getting ready for back to school again. Today, what I wanted to say is, if you are in doubt or you have some weird, negative, bad feeling about the school, or you feel like your child isn't getting the actual education they need, if they're frustrated, they're crying, they're saying that their teacher doesn't like them, or they hate school, or any of these kinds of symptoms, pay attention to that, because I'm going to get on my high horse here. School is all about training kids to sit still and obey orders. And it's not really about education anymore. They've taken away all the tools that the kids actually need to read. They disguise political agendas in curriculum, and it's not that. Kids need to be learning to read and do math when they're little. And when you do that, it becomes this exploration of learning. Once they have that foundation in place, they can do anything. They can learn any topic. They can learn any subject. They can learn to write. They can learn anything, science, higher math, anything. So it's really, really important that you listen to your children if they're communicating to you in such a way, because there's something wrong, and it's not your kids' fault. It's not the kids. It's the schools. So please reach out to me if you have any questions. I can help you, or I can help direct you to something that will work better. You can reach me. You can find me on my Facebook group at Kids Read for Real, or you can email me at barefootlearningclub@gmail. Oh, and please forgive my mess. We just moved, and so I blurred my background. I'd spare you from the huge mess that I'm gradually working through in my kitchen behind me. All right, everybody. Ciao for now.
We all hope to age gracefully so we can enjoy later years with energy, vitality, and good health. But so often with age, our bodies show signs of things just aren't the same as they used to be. Our energy, skin, healing recovery time, and sleep all go downhill. If you had physical trauma that happened to your body like I did, this happens much faster. I felt like a 30-year-old trapped in an 80-year-old body. But do you remember as kids, the boundless energy we had, how fast we recovered? This is not because of getting old, but because of active stem cells inside our bodies. These are the cells that can generate and regenerate all the cells and structures in the human body. They are the building blocks of our organs, tissues, blood, and immune system. They also serve as an innate repair system everywhere inside the body. But as we get older, stem cell activity slows down, become less effective in repairing damage, and decline. By the age of 20, we only have 1 billion stem cells left. By 30, they decline by 60%. By 50, they decline by 75%. 60 by 9%. And by 80, we're lucky to have 50 million active stem cells. But what if we can naturally stimulate our bodies to reactivate and regenerate new stem cells through phototherapy without drugs? Now we can with our LifeWave X39 stem cell activation patches. Reclaim your youth and look younger, feel stronger, perform better, and heal faster. Get your patches now at lifewave.com/chronically healthy life. It's not anti-aging, it is reverse aging.
Hello, we are Mott and Meow's Rescue, a 501c3 nonprofit, foster-based, no-kill group. Mott and Meow's Rescue pulls dogs and cats from surrounding shelters in the greater Houston area. We even pick up dogs and cats abandoned on the streets. Mott and Meow's Rescue is foster-based and rely on your donations to keep rescuing. To know more about us is to know more about our furry friends and help them find their forever homes. Come visit us at Mott and Meow's Rescue on Facebook today and decide how you can make a difference.
Welcome back to Chronically Healthy Life. So how do you like Jackie's interview?
You know, it was funny because she was saying, write 100 things you like about yourself. And I think it's easier for me to write 100 things I like about you. And to write 100 things I like myself, I was thinking, I don't even know if I can come up with 10. So I'm going to need to work on that. So, you know, I think that's really good. All the tips she's going through is so important because so many things, so many people, they go through lives pleasing the other person.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we're just talking about my parents, and that's another 2-hour episode because they're such a hot mess. But my mom and my dad, oh my gosh, you know, like growing up, I thought my dad was the A.O. I don't know if I can say that on TV. And my mom was a crazy one, and I don't know which one started which one off, but you know, it's crazy, but you know, we always blame the other person for what happens to us, right? So I think, you know, her tips are great. You know, like
I think a lot of viewers can relate to her story and how she can help them for sure.
For sure, you know, so definitely reach out to her if you have any help. You know, she's a life coach. She can help you in all sorts of aspects, right? Not just the marriage part of it.
So who do we have next week?
So next week we have another amazing guest. We're gonna have Kelly Fox.
Cool.
I believe she's going to talk about fears, and we all have some fears. So
like snakes on this plane kind of thing.
I have no idea what type of fear is going to be. I'm sort of curious myself what the topic's going to be about. So I'm looking forward to that. So join us here every Friday at 7 p.m. CST live. You can watch past episodes at watch.e360tv.com on the Vitality TV network, or of course on our YouTube channel at Chronically Healthy Life. If you'd like to know more about what we do or how we can help you live a chronic healthy life, visit us on our website at chronicallyhealthylife.com.
And if you have any comments, questions, or suggestions on how we can improve our show, give a comment on our Facebook page, chronicallyhealthylife.com, or email us at anything@chronicallyhealthylife.com.
See you next time.
Jeff Pearson here, host of Invisible Condition, where we talk about all the people who are living and thriving with all those conditions that you can't necessarily see from the outside. Join me every Tuesday and Friday at 10 a.m. Mountain Time on E360 TV.